Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever this video finds you, I hope you're having a rad time. I'm the Figure Dude, and today we're going to be making a few Chris Jericho customs as well as Big Bill. Without further ado, let's talk about some figures. Dude. Welcome back. Like I said, today I'm going to be working on a few Jerichos. So I've got 3 different Chris Jerichos I'm going to make. I'm going to be making him in his attire from WrestleMania 19, or WrestleMania 20, when he wrestled Christian. I'm going to be making more of an updated AEW version of him in his, what the heck is it called? His learning tree gimmick. And then the one in the black tights here is going to be the I guess this is the attire. I can't think of what the name would be. Save Us Jericho, I don't know, but it's one I've always thought was cool, so I'm gonna be making that. So formula wise, it was pretty easy. All I really did was have to swap around some heads. I've got the tattoos. So this was from Elite like 20, I want to say, and I think that'll work perfectly with the hair. The smug look worked for this Jericho. I think he was a face at that time, but Jericho has always been very confident in himself. So we'll have to get rid of the design on the side and then just place the decals. With this one, this is a head I'd painted before. It's a misprinted head from House 14, one of the first I ever had. So I'm going to be getting rid of the design here. And then the WrestleMania 20 attire was pretty close to this color. Here's the curb stomp decal for it. I cut it very, very close to the decal, so you don't even see a lot of that like tealish green color. And then it did have look like felt, or not felt, like a velvety finish to his tights. So I think I'm gonna do like a dry brush with a metallic color. So we'll get rid of this design on the tights, get the decals on, and then do the dry brushing. The Big Bill figure, I haven't decided if I'm gonna keep all of these parts exactly. I will paint up, I wanted to give him the more ripped torso because he's gotten into great shape, and it's really just a lot of repainting. And then we've got some very simple decals, just a small decal on the front and back of the trunks for him. The WrestleMania 20 Jericho, actually. So I have this sculpt on here. I thought about repainting the facial hair, but what I think I'm going to do, because he had more of a clean shaven look with sideburns, so I think I'm going to completely repaint this AEW head from his Lionheart figure. I picked this up at Ross for $2.99, but I like this hair more for the time period. So I think I'm going to take off the hairpiece, repaint the head sculpt completely, repaint the hair so it's a lighter blonde, and then give him the sideburns just painted on the side. And I think that's going to look really nice. That Jericho, we'll see. Some of there's so many of AEW's head sculpts don't look good, and then I repaint them and I'm like, oh yeah, like it's spot on. They get the likeness, and then the paint applications, everything just don't get it quite right. And then this is going to be my updated learning tree Jericho. I think I'm going to use this head sculpt. I might use a different Jazzwares sculpt. I'll see once I paint this one up a little bit. And then formula wise, this was from an old Elite Terry Funk, this torso, where Arn Anderson has it, William Regal on his older Elite. These are the ringmaster size legs, and then these are some Owen Hart Jazzwares lowers. I wanted to give him that like thicker build. I don't want to give him small legs, but it was hard to keep him in scale with boots. So the boots are just going to be like, no Mattel boots really fit. I tried using the boots from his Jazzwares figure, and they just made him too tall. They're shaped weird. I just didn't really like it. So this is the formula I plan to go with. I'm going to just paint up the calves and boots there in all black, and then the learning tree decals you can kind of see them in there. They're right here. But then we've got the tattoos as well. So the tattoos will go on this one, and then not the WrestleMania one. But that is going to be everything for today. So let's get to it. All right, let's get to it. So first thing I'm going to do is repaint the skin tone. The Jazzwares skin tone really doesn't look that bad on the Mattel body, but I'm going to paint it just so it's a little more uniform.
And then I did paint over the hair as well, because I'm going to repaint that hair color. I want it to be a little bit lighter. I feel like it's not where I want to be at. I want to make it a little bit lighter, less old man Jericho, if that makes sense. So I got that layer on, and then I'll come back to it once it dries a little bit. The boots here, just got to paint them up black. Just going from white to black, I feel like makes such a big difference in how the feel of the boots, how they look. With the white pose on the Mattel body, it didn't look right to me. But we're gonna paint things up here. So the big casts, I did have to paint those calves black, and then gonna just cover up a few things. So cover up the design. I was trying to acetone it and it just wasn't coming off well, so I figured it was just as easy to paint over it. I'm going to repaint the hair on this one as well to give it a little bit more character. So we'll do the lighter, like a tannish. I think I used light beige for the hair there, and then we'll do a wash or a dry brush over it for the Learning Tree Jericho there. And then I just used a dark brown for his goatee and mustache there. I was able to acetone the design off these ones, or off this Jericho, so gonna get the decal on, and then I'm gonna go over it with a metallic kind of greenish color I have. It doesn't go on very thick, it's pretty see-through, so it'll add some shimmer to it, but it will still look the color I want it to, even though it's not technically the teal color. It works out. Normally I just do the base layer in the color I want, and then I go over it with the metallic color, and it's like that for this, except the base color is just what it's molded in. The big cast, or not big cast, big bill, very simple. Once I repainted those tights a little bit, just a decal on the front and back. These ones, I actually was, in my head, I was thinking they were going to be a lot more difficult, but there's really only a few things, and they go on large pieces of the legs, so it was pretty simple filling those in. And then I just took some extra bits at the end here and filled in some spots to make it all look a little more uniform just around the legs. But these were actually pretty easy to apply. I have my decal tutorial that you can always check out. I use micro solo, micro set. I use a hair dryer. I don't use the hair dryer on camera, so I don't blow everything away that is on my desk. Here you can see that metallic color I'm painting on. You can tell it's changing the color just a hair, but that's what I was going for, so it'll work out perfectly. And I only put on a layer. I don't need too much of it, just enough to give it that metallic look that I was wanting. Then we've got the arm decals, which were the very first decals I ever tried customizing, and it went miserably. And then I didn't use decals again for 2 more years before I mustered up the courage to try it again. This went much smoother.
All right, time to wrap things up here, and these turned out perfectly. Honestly, I'm really happy with them. The head sculpt on the WrestleMania 20 Jericho, I think it works. The hair color I went back and forth on a little bit, and I did end up using a little bit darker, and you can see some of the lighter highlights in there. The first color I used was just too yellow, and I had that same issue with a couple other customs where I started using that paint and just didn't like it. So that Golden Sunset Apple Barrel, don't use it for hair. I gave it a shot on a couple different customs and it was not it. So that one's just going in the trash. But I did find a head sculpt of Jericho, but it's on a 1/6 scale figure. The hair, the look is perfect. It's just a 1/6 scale, and obviously that's twice the size of about twice the size of what we'd want for a Mattel Elite here. So for now, this works. I'm pretty happy with it. The clean look on his face. I wish the hair was just fluffier, had that just more volume to it, but I think it's a fine look for that Jericho I was going for specifically. The metallic color, I feel like that brought out what I wanted it to with the tights, especially I did have it on the shelf while I was trying to clean up in the man cave. So I put all these Jerichos back on the shelf before I got to wrap it up here. But you can really tell the difference between this and just the matte color of the WrestleMania 19 ringside Jericho. So I thought I was really happy with that. And then the black one here, so it was Armageddon 2008. Jericho wrestled Randy Orton for the WWE Championship, and it was before, it was like 2008. I don't think I really was watching. I think I would pick up the pay-per-view DVDs at Walmart every now and then, and I'd watch those, but I didn't really keep up with the week to week. So Randy Orton had the spinner WWE Championship, but he did not have his full like sleeve of tattoos, which is still just like in my brain kind of weird to see. And then I just threw this jacket on. He was wearing a vest like that when he came out, but it had that same design down as his trunks. I wasn't going to do that. This was good enough for me. I was pretty happy with that. I think a return Jericho in like the silver vest and black dress pants would be really cool to do from when he returned and was doing this kind of his Save Us gimmick. But this is always an attire that I really like. So I was happy with how it came out, even if the right hip is kind of messed up. I'm not going to be doing a lot of posing with it. It's cracked, so I guess it could just come off, but it's good enough. I'm really happy with it. And the head sculpt, I wasn't sure if I was going to use this one. I looked up some references, and the first reference I did see, he had facial hair, and I thought about popping on one of the Jerichos from when he was doing his list. You just made the list gimmick. But then at the pay-per-view, this is more what he looked like. So I went with that. I think that's a pretty decent head sculpt for him. I will throw Jericho up here with his opponent from WrestleMania 20. I got that Christian, and I do want to redo that. It was one of the first customs I painted up and used decals on. I don't even know if I did it when I started the channel. It might have been before that. But still, that was another one of the Amazon figures that we got the vote for and did not get. We got a reissue. But I won't go on my my Amazon takeover rant here. We'll just move on to the learning tree here. So we've got Big Bill. This figure was super easy to do. The hips, though, just are super tight. They're not fitted well to that crotch piece. So it was kind of, I wish they were just normal skin tone. I probably have some like that in my fodder box somewhere. Painted up the calves, so those are black. So it was easy. It's just the top of the thigh there is molded in black, I think. So any of it just rubs off. It's just it's not ideal. I wish it would have just been in the skin tone color, but whatever. It's a very simple one for Big Bill, and then the Jericho, honestly, it turned out perfectly. I'm going to stop trying to call off my customs perfect here. I was really happy with how it turned out. The tattoos, I did have to wait for the add-on for his shoulder tattoo, which you can see coming around there. The head sculpt, I was actually really happy with how it turned out. I wasn't quite sure if I was going to like it, but the hairstyle itself, and then just that little bit of facial hair, the mustache and the goatee there, worked out really well. We've obviously got swappable hands, so can't have them doing the high guys to start out. But the legs, I wasn't sure. Just it looked odd just sitting on the shelf, just looking at it before it was painted. But with the calves and boots and everything painted black, it turned out exactly how I pictured it in my head. I'm really, really happy with it. It's proportionally really happy. We are getting a bunch of Jerichos that look like this. I want to say at, was it San Diego Comic-Con? We saw like 3 or 4 renders of Jericho. So we're going to be getting some Learning Tree Jerichos. And I don't know, I just had these parts, so it didn't cost me anything besides the decals necessarily putting it together at this point. But I'll probably pick some of those up. Jazzwares, I never know what things are going to look like as far as distribution and picking them up, but I've been honestly trying to tighten things up a little bit as far as buying figures at retail, just because they're so expensive, just ridiculously expensive. But that's not why we're here. That's for another day. There's my Learning Tree Jericho with his Big Bill. I think I'm gonna end up making a Brian Keith just to fill the group, to fill the group out, but we'll see. That's down the road. Nonetheless, if you have stuck around all the way to the end here, I do appreciate it very much. Please continue to like, share, subscribe, and remember, you can't buy happiness, but you can buy more action figures. Figure dude.